Indian Point Nuclear Power Plant in Westchester County is set to close in a few years. Environmentalists are happy, Governor Cuomo is happy, but the town of Buchanan is losing its biggest employer and largest taxpayer. Plus, there will be a void in the energy supply as that plant provides about a quarter of the electricity that New York City and Westchester use. The Journal News is looking into all of that and more. I recently sat down with investigative reporter Thomas Zambito. Tom, terrific piece on Indian Point. It's almost like a state of the union of where everything stands as we approach the closure of IP. But you also spoke to a lot of people in and around the village of Buchanan. How anxious, how emotional are folks in Buchanan about IP shutting down?
Well, very anxious. I mean, if you go to the school superintendent, Joe Hochreiter, we're talking about a $26 million hole in their budget they're going to see in the years to come. I mean, it gradually comes down, but significant problems. So they're starting to address it now rather than later. And, one of the plans they're discussing in the schools is about combining the elementary schools. They have 3, maybe they go to 2, maybe they combine by grade. So they're really being proactive, getting ahead of the issue and trying to figure out how they can adjust before they take the big hit.
And it dawns on me that you're looking at impacts on the workforce that works in Indian Point right now, the Hendrick Hudson School District, and the village of Buchanan itself. Let me start with the workers. How many workers are we talking about there? And has Entergy announced plans to assist those workers? Do they get a severance deal out of this?
Yes, they will. It's really not clear how many. It's still in flux. Really, there's about 40% of that workforce, so 1,000-person workforce, is eligible for retirement come 2021. Likely that a lot will be offered jobs elsewhere. That's happen at other energy plants. The problem becomes for people who can't really move, who aren't flexible. Maybe they have kids in high school and can't really uproot their family, so it becomes a little bit more problematic then.
And the number of active nuclear power plants in the country is decreasing
Right.
as we go forward. I wouldn't think there would be a whole host of jobs available for people with experience in nuclear power plants.
A shrinking industry, most certainly, and the jobs are drying up. There's more activity in the South, but certainly, yeah, it's a challenged industry, no doubt about it.
We've heard from a lot of elected officials since the deal was first announced by Governor Cuomo on the state level, the county level, the local level. Hey, let's get involved, let's help, let's do. Is there anything in process yet to be of assistance either to Buchanan or to Hendrick Hudson?
Well, that's a good question. There's been a lot of discussion, and one of the things we heard reporting this story is that there's a lot of questions, very few answers. So the state is certain. There's task force meetings. They meet almost every 3 or 4 months. There's a lot of discussion, but no one's really pulled on the trigger on any concrete plan at this point.
About the village going forward, and this will be an unpopular question in Buchanan, but might be more popular outside of it. Is this really discernibly different from a company town where the company goes belly up or walks out? I'm thinking Manville, New Jersey had a big fiberglass or insulation plant there, and at some point they shut down.
Right.
And it took the town a while to recover, but these things do happen.
Right. This story could be written for any other industry that has pulled out of a town. Upstate New York, we've seen this scenario quite a bit. So no, it's very similar, and I think they're adopting that template to sort of address the issues that are in front of them. The good part for them is this didn't happen overnight. This happened. This announcement was in January 2017, so there's a 4-year lag where they can really start planning for this, and I think that's what they're doing. They're talking to other towns, other small towns across the country that have had nuclear plant closures, and they've seen how they've aggressively addressed it. Now the difference here, I'll say, is that when other plants close, you have a building that you have to tear down. In this case, you have nuclear fuel.
Right.
A lot of it. Hundreds of assemblies of spent nuclear fuel that is going to sit on that site for decades. Some people have said eons, so we don't know what's going to happen to that.
And it's probably among the most valuable real estate in the village. It's right on the water's edge. You could do so many other things with it.
It used to be an amusement park.
Right.
I mean, that's what we brought up in the story. It was, it was the Dayliner would come up from New York City and drop off people, and there were carousels and speedboats. It was.
It'll be a long time before it's that again. Yeah. It's a terrific piece, Tom, including lots of interviews with individuals and even some discussion about the refueling process that's about to begin. So I encourage everybody to read it. It's this weekend in the Journal News.
Yes, sir. Sunday.
Tom Zambito, Journal News and LoHud.com. Thanks as always.
Thank you.
You can read the full story on LowHUD.com right now. It'll also be in Sunday's edition of the Journal News. Now we head out to Long Island for part 2 of our report on the troubled Hempstead School District. Yesterday we looked at the past and the frustrations of parents and administrators. Today we look forward to the future and potential solutions. FIOS 1's Ray Raimundi has the story.
She rarely does on-camera interviews, but on this day, acting Hempstead Union Free School District Superintendent Regina Armstrong, granting FIOS 1 News a look inside her district headquarters. The 28-year veteran of the district now tasked with leading a major turnaround, the state education department closely watching.
Is it a lot of work? Yes. Are we willing? Are we up to it? Of course, because everything goes back to the students.
Over the last couple of weeks, Armstrong's held leadership summits with administrators, parents, board members, and stakeholders.
We talked about what they felt would be immediate, could be some of the immediate solutions to look at right now.
Armstrong showing us goal sheets placed all across her conference room. The purpose? To follow this course of action plan, a plan the district submitted to the state education commissioner earlier this month after the commissioner traveled from Albany to Hempstead to assess the school district for herself.
At this point in time, there is no more time for all of these things that are taking away the focus that needs to be on children in Hempstead.
The plan identifying 10 distinct areas of change for the district, including budget and fiscal operations, school safety and security, but most importantly, governance of the district, which includes retraining school board members.
A lot of the noise or the back and forth is really because it's just people's beliefs and their opinions about what they think is best for the children of Hempstead.
And what is unquestionably the focus of this superintendent and the school district, student achievement. Overall district graduation rates have hovered at 40% and lower since 2010. The numbers collected by the state education department over a 6-year period compare the 40% district graduation rate to the 78% state graduation rate. In 2016, the district graduation rate rose to 48%, but the state graduation rate was 80%. And 2 schools in the district have been identified by the state as receivership schools. Receivership schools have been identified by the State Department of Education Commissioner as struggling or persistently struggling schools. Schultz Middle School here in Hempstead has been on that list for the past 3 years and only more recently showed improvement. In fact, during the 2016-2017 school year, they hit all their target indicators by 71%.
So for the past 3 years, we've had a plan called the Strategic Plan of School Excellence, which expires June 30th.
Part of the plan of excellence was placing distinguished educator Jack Beerworth right inside the school district offices. Beerworth was handpicked by State Education Commissioner Elia to come up with his own recommendations for turning around the school district and then monitor the district's promise of implementing its own course of action plan for improvements.
I am certainly hopeful that the board and the administration there, working in conjunction with Dr. Beerworth, can be successful in doing that.
We are collecting the
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Okay.
Commissioner Elia's hope that school board members will work together remains to be seen.
This infighting continues even with the distinguished educator here and the recommendations that was just given by the...
It is very disturbing because he's here to help the board, and I don't find that happening. I see him helping the board majority, but not the entire board. I'm asking that the commissioner comes in and send someone to oversee the board's action.
But what is without dispute is the faith the school district and school community have in acting superintendent Armstrong.
I'm looking forward to great change in our school district. I think Regina Armstrong is capable of handling the school district in its state that is in.
It's good that we have a superintendent that knows the issues that we face. She's been in this district for practically all her career within teaching.
The goal here too is to just focus on erasing all the stigma and stereotypes surrounding the school district, huh?
Yes, absolutely. So I always tell people it's time to rebrand ourselves, right? But that it starts with us, right? So we have to believe in our system, we have to believe in our kids, and we have to change the way in which we even carry ourselves.
Armstrong has set a deadline of the end of this current school year for total implementation of the course of action plan. It's the change all have been waiting for, with the state education department watching closely. In Hempstead, Ray Raimundi, FiOS 1 News.
RFL continues after this. We'll be right back.